Handler Shack here, back with another video, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to build your very own Pokemon cube for free if you have a printer paper, and you have someone to play with in real life. Actually, it would be about $30 otherwise, because you would probably want to download Tabletop Simulator. But that's really not what I'm here to be talking about today. If you want to find a guide to Tabletop Simulator, then you can look somewhere else on YouTube. But I am talking about how to build your very own Pokemon cube, and however you play it, it's up to you. But first, let's go over a few channel updates, or just one channel update, and what a cube is. So, main channel update here. I've decided to kind of just upload whenever I feel like it, which does not mean not at all, but does mean probably not every week, only on weekends, really. I might upload a lot this week, though, because I have a break from school, so I actually have time to do meaningful things, which is nice. But let's get on to the video. So, the website I am on is tcgcollector.com. You will want to use this website for building a cube. It is amazing. I highly recommend it. No, this video is not sponsored. How do you think I'm sponsored? I have 25 subs. Alright. So, I was looking across the internet for a free Pokemon database where I could write stuff down, put in some kind of Google Doc, and just, all the ones I found they had tons of ads. It was, hard to see things. They weren't as good. You couldn't, mark any cards. You couldn't, note down how many copies of a card you want. Not tcgcollector.com. So, tcgcollector.com has 3 different memberships: free, premium, and basic. So, I am using free right now, and I get to keep up to 500 cards in my collection. Now, if you have a cube under 500 cards, what you do is you mark 500 cards for your collection, or up to 500. I'm personally building a 152 card cube, so I've marked 152 cards. You mark them, and then you go into Proxycroak and print them out. It's really easy. Or you go into Tabletop, import them, and put them in a cube. Now, what is a cube? Okay, there are tons of videos on what is a cube, but I'm just going to go over it again. So, a cube is a deck of cards. It's a really big deck of cards. I've seen cubes up to 1,000, drafted between 2 or more players. Normally, 2, 4, 6, 8 would be what you would normally do. So, if you're looking for a 3-player cube, that'll get a little more complicated. It is doable, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. I mean, even a 6-player cube's hard. So 2, 4, or 8 players. You're thinking like that. Now, you can do more. You can do a different number. You could do 16 players. You could do 15 players. You could do 23 players if you have 23 players. That would be a humongous cube because every player needs 40 to 60 card decks. So, a cube, you can have a 40 card. It's a giant pile of Pokemon cards, basically. And by giant, I mean giant. And you divide it between how many players. Now, if you have more than 2 players, you can do the other method with 4 players, theoretically. I don't think you can do it with 8 players. But doing it with 4 players would be harder. Ice. Bad cat. Sorry, my cats are insane. But when you're doing it with 4 players, 4 or more players, really. 3, because you probably won't do 3 players. You will each player will get a pack of however many cards, generally 8 cards, but depends on how big you want your cube to be. But for this video, I'm just going to be working with multiples of 8 because it's always easier. I don't even know why you did it. It's just easier because I've been working with multiples of 8. You could obviously say each player gets a pack of 5 cards, and then you just you choose a card, you pass the pack along. And, well, I mean, you each start up with a bunch of packs, but again, that depends on the size of your cube. So say you had 4 players, and, I don't know, you were playing with 40 card decks, 4 prize cards, but I don't know, for some reason you had a 480 card cube. Maybe that's with 60 card decks. But anyway, you might want to just give each player a few packs. You might want to make the packs bigger. That's all up to you. But it's generally done, and each player gets a group of packs. Take one, pass it along, and they just do that until all of the cards in the cube are divided up evenly. And yes, they should be divided up evenly. Now, you are allowed to look at your cards, but if you are playing in a more serious group, you will not be allowed to look at your cards and not other people's cards. I like to play cube as like a relaxing but semi-competitive thing. So you can ask your opponent what they're playing. You can negotiate on, well, we'll get to that part later. But you can negotiate on how to split the packs. Because the other method for 2 players, which is the one I've been using, is splitting packs. Now, you're trying to make the 2 packs even because, okay, basically, here's the start. You take, again, multiples of 8. So, I like Andrew Mahone, Tricky Jim's new video, or recent video. It's from about a month ago. You should check out this video. That's the first cube I made. And I've edited a bunch, but his cube is really good, and his method is really good. But basically the method is, I mean, he didn't invent the method, but it is a method. And what the method is you take 8 cards from the top, divide them into 2 piles. Then the other player takes one of the piles. And then they take 8 cards from the top. You get the other pile, obviously. They take 8 cards from the top, divide them into 2 piles. You choose a pile, they get the other pile. It continues until there are no cards remaining in the cube. If that doesn't make sense, watch Tricky Jim's video. It's really amazing, and the cube is really amazing. Alright, so now that you know how to divide your cube, then let's move on to actually building a cube. Now again, I recommend starting with a cube, depending on how many players you have. There are bigger cubes, but if you only have 2 players, or you have to do it on tabletop, now I guess you could probably do it on tabletop either way. But if you only have one other person to play with, real life, then you'll want to watch this video and print out the cards on Proxycroak and build this cube. That's what I recommend doing first. So, you start watching this video, you have another person to play with, go play this cube. It's really great. And here's a link to the list of cards in the cube. And this is when we're introducing Proxycroak. So if you search up Proxycroak, this lets you print proxy Pokemon cards with PTC Geopaste. You know what the problem there is? We don't have PTCGO pastes of cards before, I guess the Heart Gold Soul Silver era. Heart Gold Soul Silver era. So what you do, maybe it's the Diamond Pearl, I don't know. But what you do is you can go here, and you find which set codes should I use. Alright, you've got the base set code, Wizards, Fossil, all of this. You have all of the set codes. And alternate set codes for some of them too. I'm not interested. So this is what you will want to use. My window's not too small. So what you will want to use, and you can just say, look at this card list down here. Go into Proxycroak, look at these. I did this myself. It's very easy. It'll take you less than an hour to type in these pastes, then you just need to print them and cut them out. I assure you it's much easier than looking for images online. Obviously, if you have a really large collection and you do have 3 copies of base set Hitmonchan, base set Scyther, you have Nightly Garbage Runs, you have Gust of Winds from base set, that's great. But a lot of people don't, so I recommend them doing this. I really don't think you should buy the card. There's no reason not to use proxy cards. And buying these cards is really expensive, so don't do that. And yeah, we will move on now to how to build your cube. Obviously, once you've built your cube, you print it out with Proxycroak. But how do you build the cube? Well, this is where TCG Collector comes in. And just another note before we start, you can errata your cube any way you want. You can change cards in the cube once you have built it. If your cube does not work, you can fix it. No matter how big the change is, your cube can be fixed. So first, you'll want to know if you want a 2 or more player cube. If you want 2-player cube, use the dividing 8 cards from the top method. If you want more than a 2-player cube, well, really, if you want a 4 or more player cube, because 3-player cubes are kind of confusing, and you could use either method. But I really just don't recommend doing a 3-player cube. It sounds harder. But if you have a 4 or more player cube, do the method where you each get a bunch of packs from the top of the cube. Take one, pass it along. Take one, pass it along. That works pretty well. So first decide on what kind of cube you want. How many players determines how big the cube is. So I personally am building, and also the deck size. So the 2 main deck sizes for cube are 40 card decks with 4 prize cards and 60 card decks with 6 prize cards. And so I am personally, Andrew Mahone's cube has 80 cards and it's 40 card decks with 4 prize cards, and it's a 2-person cube. So obviously, 2-person cube, that I recommend starting with that before making your own. Making your own cube is substantially harder. I played that for about a month before deciding to finally make mine, which I just did yesterday. I haven't actually played it yet. I'm about to print it out. It's going to be very exciting. Alright, erattas. I have tons of erattas. Now, my cube, the Pokemon are focused on base set to EX era. So, I found this Peliper. I was looking for something that could do infinite damage if it had a bunch of water energy on. Found this Peliper, but it did 30 times. So I was like, no. Because if this Peliper is doing 30 times, then you just chuck 4 water energy onto it and it OHKOs everything in my cube. And then if it's doing 20 times, you just chuck 6 water energy onto it, and it's OHKOing everything in my cube. So I wasn't having that, and I took that down to 10 times. Now, obviously, the Peliper is much less powerful. However, it still can OHKO everything in my cube, and I still play 2 of them. So, you'll want to think about erattas like that, depending on how strong your format is. I'm also planning to have a tanky grass deck in my format. Well, originally my cube had 2 Gardenia, and Gardenia healed 80. You see the problem when the maximum HP is 120? There's a problem there. So I took it down to heal 60, which is still very powerful, but it is using your supporter for turn, so now that card's a little less good. Though pairing it with a potion, you can still heal off 80 damage, which is very powerful. Alright, just a minor change for 2 grass energy on a stage 1. The Lost Thunder Grovyle, because I am including some more recent cards, will only do 30 instead of 40. Again, minor errata. It is a very minor errata, but these things do matter. What it means by current Zigzagoon errata is since you don't play Dark Energy in this cube, the Zigzagoon will only cost 2 colorless energy. My current Raichu errata makes the attack less powerful. I am talking about the, and this is Galarian Zigzagoon, and the Raichu is the paralysis one from I think Burning Shadows. But, like, those are just a few examples. I'm playing a cube without weakness. You can change the rules however you want. Which brings me to another thing you should consider before starting to build your cube. Another thing you should consider is mutant draft and deck size. Okay, you know your number of players, so you're building a 2-player cube, mutant draft. Alright, what the heck is mutant draft? If you don't know what mutant draft is, you just know you're building a 2-player cube, which will probably have around 120 cards minimum if it's 60 cards, and 80 cards minimum if it's 40 card decks. 60 card decks is 120 minimum. I'm building a 2-player cube with a 152 card pool. Obviously, no one's going to shuffle all those cards at a time. You'll probably want both players to shuffle. Just a note there. Generally in cube, everyone shuffles and then you cut it a bunch. If you have a really big cube. 80 card cube, one person can shuffle, that's really hard. And not really riffle shuffling it, I will say. So you have your big cube, and now you should know what kind of cube you want to build. And this is before you choose what your cube is based around. This is before you choose, how big your cube is. No, the first thing you should choose, this is before you choose your deck size. First thing you should choose is the rules of your cube. Do you want a mutant draft or do you not want a mutant draft? And what I mean by mutant draft, I will show you here. Alright, so a mutant draft would mean, also, this site is amazing. I'm just saying, this site is amazing. Use it. I don't care about my software update. What I mean by mutant draft, okay, here's my water Pokemon line. You see the problem? Lapras does not evolve into Frosmoth. Alolan Vulpix does not evolve into Frosmoth. Or Octillery. Or Peliper. Or Dark Gyarados. And Dark Gyarados does not evolve into Feraligatr. So, here's what I mean by mutant. All Pokemon of the same type. Also multi-energy pops up, sorry for that. All Pokemon of the same type. So you have a basic water Pokemon, it evolves into any stage 1 water Pokemon. And then that stage 1 water Pokemon can evolve into any stage 2 water Pokemon. So as long as they're of the same type, and they're all, and they're basic stage 1, stage 2, you still have to follow the little basic stage 1, stage 2 rules, because I can't have Blastoise being put down as a basic. That would invalidate my entire cube. So this is called mutant draft. And it's designed for Pokemon because I don't really want to have to evolve Snom into Frosmoth, Squirtle into Wartortle, into Blastoise, and then, like, evolve into my Octillery, play the Lapras anyway, evolve into Feraligatr. I'd probably want 2 Feraligatrs then, evolve into Peliper. You see how many evolution lines I would have? I would have like a 60 card deck just there in water Pokemon. But here I can play some pretty useful basic cards that search Pokemon, search any card on a coin flip, some search supporter cards, and even do a lot of damage in Articuno's case. So do you want a mutant draft or not? Now, this is what a base to Neo, base to EX actually, mutant draft water line might look like. I have an 8-7-6 line here, which seems really high if it's divided between 2 players. But with no rare candy, you probably want that. So, some of these Pokemon are attackers. Some of these Pokemon are support cards. Some of these Pokemon do both. Blastoise. Because in my cube, HP is low, damage is kind of low. It's base through EX era. But that's how a mutant draft works. However, what I'm considering for my cube, and I think the best way to tell if you need to change the rules once you have a mutant draft is play your cube. Because I also have some colorless Pokemon. And they are not the same type as my water or grass Pokemon. Grass is my other main type. But how useful are they going to be in 60 card decks if they're not part of my water line, is what you will have to consider then. Also, I probably only want 1 Smeargle. I just haven't found a good card to cut it for. Yeah, like, am I gonna play Delcatties and Dunsparces? Sure, I could play 3 of those. Then that's 6 cards. Then I've got 6 cards, plus probably a 4/4/4 water line. 4/4/3 maybe? Okay, then I've got a 17 card deck, but I want to pair Delcatty with Magneton. Alright, yep, so let's move into Magneton. Alright, then I want a 2/2 Magneton. Oh, I can play Raichu. So 3/2 Magneton with a Raichu because Mutant Cube. Alright, then I've got 24 cards. See the problem? That's nearly half of my 60 card deck. So tomorrow when I'm going to play this cube, or today actually, I'm recording this in the morning, we're going to draft the cube out between 2 players because it is a 2-player cube. I don't really have experience with bigger cubes, but trust me, I can still teach you about them. And we're going to see how it goes. There are 2 solutions that I'm thinking about, which are either, well, there are 2 big ones. 70 card decks with 7 prize cards, which is an interesting solution because you want big decks, right? Or I could just say electric and colorless are rainbow type, and I can have a Dunsparce that evolves into a Magneton that evolves into a Blastoise. Now, electric just isn't specifically a type that should be rainbow type. It is, however, a type you can make rainbow type. Also, I have 1 dark Pokemon. Why don't I make it rainbow type? And in a mutant cube, that would mean it's what all the other types are. So for you, if you have a few support Pokemon you want to slot into your evolution lines, but you don't quite find you have space for in your decks, then either you want to increase the deck size, which my cube would be good at doing because it has 32 more cards than it really needs. Again, still multiple of 8. Or you can make the mutant, and this is in a mutant cube. Otherwise, it doesn't really work because that would just get confusing if it wasn't a mutant cube except for like 1 or 2 types. Yeah, or you could make a few types rainbow type. And the only reason you'd want to make them rainbow type is so you could include them in your deck more easily. I do not think Zigzagoon's a good card to make rainbow type because its effect is actually really powerful in this format. Well, whatever. So that is it for rainbow type mutant cube. You will probably want to use rainbow type if you're super heavy on support Pokemon and have stage 2 lines in your cube. Again, then you'll probably end up with quite a big cube. And don't decide on your cube size. You need to know the minimum of your cube size, which is 120 cards if you're doing a 2-player cube with 60 card decks, or 80 cards if it's 40 card decks. But do not limit yourself to that. Once you have passed that, like, I'm not saying build a 400 card cube when each player's only going to use less than 60 of those cards. I am, however, saying build a 160 card cube, even though you only need a 120 card cube. Maybe you want a 136 card cube. As long as it fits with whatever your base number is for the packs that you will be dividing up, then it works. Now, obviously, if it is a larger cube, you will need to make sure each player gets an even number of packs, blah, blah, blah. But for a 2-player cube, if the number works, and it's not, and 2 players can shuffle it, then it's fine. Now, for a bigger cube, say you have a 4-person cube, and you're going to want 12 packs of 8, because then each player will get 3 packs of 8. Then, obviously, if you want to make your cube bigger than that, you would have to add, you would have to make it a lot bigger. But for a 2-player cube, you can make your cube as big as you want as long as you and another person can shuffle it. Alright, so now that we've gotten what a cube is out of the way, you can change the rules however you want. You can say Rosa isn't a supporter card, you can make Frosmoth a basic Pokemon. If everyone knows the rules, they're clearly written down, or you've just put a tiny bit of tape over your proxy card, then it's fine. Just put a tiny bit of tape over your proxy Cynthia and Caitlin that changes its name to Cynthia. No, don't do that. But if you think that this Grovyle, too powerful, I want to do 30 damage, put a little bit of tape on, it's a proxy card, doesn't matter, and write 30 on the little bit of tape. Probably write 30 on the tape first. You can make your cube work however you want. You know, like Mutant Cube. I'm not going to write down Mutant Cube on all these cards, but you know it's a Mutant Cube. But if everyone knows what the rules are, then you can play it. And if you have to adjust the rules, just as long as everyone knows what the rules are, you can play it. The cube is your own thing. So, 70 card decks, rainbow type, mutant cube. Mutant cube you'll probably want to decide first, but I'm not going to decide by deck size, though I know it'll be over 60, and whether or not I do the whole rainbow type thing until I've actually played out this cube. At least by drafting it. So, that is the first thing you will want to know. Is it mutant? How big how many players do I have? And approximately how big are my decks? Just start with 60 or 40 cards. You can change that size as you can change that size anytime in the cube as long as you do it before you have built the decks and finish them. All right. Now, how do you find cards? Well, first, you're going to want to choose an era and a power level. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that this Raichu's attack should only do 30 and should cost 1 energy less. That's what I mean by that. Because all my other Pokemon are relatively weak. You want a lot of weak Pokemon to make most cubes in the early eras. Now, later era cube, you could make a cube with VMAX Pokemon given up. You could make a cube where V and VMAX Pokemon give up 1 prize card. Again, if everyone knows the rule, you can do it. I actually might try that myself. That's a pretty good idea. Maybe that would balance out the current standard format. Maybe. I don't think that's possible, but sure. Anyway. You know, once you've decided if it's mutant. Okay, so we're going to start off with a non-mutant cube. I want my cube to be focused around basic or evolution Pokemon. And, okay, first decide basic or evolution. So if basic Pokemon, you'll want to include a few evolutions, but mostly just basics. If evolution Pokemon, you'll want to include more basics than stage 1s or stage 2s, but more stage 1s and stage 2s altogether. And then you'll want to decide on the types. So I'm going to use my own cube for an example here. I'm going to use a cube, how about I'm saying I want water, stage 1, stage 2, and basic Pokemon. I want to show all these cards, and I want them to be modern era, and I want to sort them by name A to Z, because I want Abomasnow. I like Abomasnow. Alright. No, I really want to put in Alolan Ninetales GX. I really like Alolan Ninetales GX, and I really like Abomasnow. And I probably want a Ditto Prism Star in my cube at this point. Alright, and I also want I also want the Blastoise. I want a Blasto. Okay, I want this Deluge Blastoise that people play in Archies. I like this artwork, okay. I'm going to add like 3 of these. I'm going to add some Squirtles. Oh, the Squirtle's cute. I'm going to add some rare candies. I guess that's not a Pokemon. All that filter back. Okay, rare. Here I'm going to add like 4 rare candies. I'm going to add a Wartortle. I want a really old Wartortle. I'm going to use this base set Wartortle, and I want 2 of these. No, I only want 1 of these. I think I need another Squirtle. Alright, now I need a Vulpix. Now I need a Vulpix for my Ninetales. Alright, I'll add a few of these. Now, I'm going to stop myself right there before I mess up my cube and go back to cards. And delete these cards I've added. I don't need those for my cube. I don't need Abomasnows. And I don't need Squirtles because I'm running a mutant cube. I don't need rare candies. That would be way too broken. I don't need Ninetales. I do need a Alolan Vulpix, but that's the Alolan Vulpix I want. I don't need this Deluge Blastoise. Alright. I still have an extra card. I wonder what it is. But I mean, you see how it works. It is just adding cards for your cube, and they can go in your cube. It's Warcordle. That's what I didn't take out. But those cards do not go in my cube, so I'm going to remove them. However, what you want is an idea for your water line. So I still want a water line, right? I still want a water line. And I still want Stage 1, Stage 2, and basic Pokemon. But I want my water line to be focused in the early base set to EX era. So I'm going to want some Rain Dance Blastoise. I'm going to want this Articuno. That's a decent attacker back then. And maybe I'm going to want the Neo for Alligator. But only one of those, because that card's really powerful. Keep going through. See, I have 5 of those Blastoises. You're going to want 5 of your big stage 2s a lot of the time. At least 5. So 2 players can play them, or the player who's trying to play them doesn't get dragged off of playing them. Alright, I want a Gyarados because it's okay. Ooh, maybe I really want this Psyduck. I really want to confuse Psyduck and the defending Pokemon, because I'm going to evolve out of my confusion, but then I still have Psyduck, but then I still have Psyduck who's confused them, and I like Psyduck. Just build it around Pokemon you like or strategies you like. So you can build an insane Energy Excel deck. You can build an insane Tank deck. You can build an all-around Welder deck because you play Modern Era. You cannot use supporters. I know that this cube does not use supporters. I do use, and I've been messing around with his list. I've made a few changes, which I might show off in another video. But again, don't expect anything from me. My cube does play supporters. And here's how you're going to want to go around finding your supporters. Now, this website makes it pretty easy to sort through cards, right? You know, you can scroll past them pretty quickly. You can read them easily. So I'm just going to say, alright, there's 593 supporter cards, right? These are all the supporter cards that have ever been printed, including probably some reprints. Obviously, not in every single language. There would be much more. But all the supporter cards. So, I liked Copycat. I wanted to put that in my cube. Oh yeah, Oracle's fun. Wally's fun. I just scrolled through all of these. Now, I do recommend changing the cards per page to 120. That makes it so there's only 5 pages. It's much easier. And obviously, there's some of these extra artworks that you don't get with the basic plan on this website, so you don't even have to scroll through those. They're extra artworks, I'm pretty sure, though, so doesn't really matter. Alright, say I want my cube to be... I want the only supporter in my cube to be 10 copies of Professor Birch and 10 copies of Versus Seeker, which it is nice to include Versus Seeker if you have a supporter cube. I personally play 6 in my cube right now. I actually think I'm going to add the second Wally. But yeah, you kind of just want to scroll through here. Now, I do recommend... It's just a recommendation. If you click on that, it will show you all of the earlier trainer cards. And from this, you can see that it's all a lot of trainers. You can scroll through here. There's like a few pages. It's almost as many of these early trainer cards. Now, when we scroll to the 4th page, some of these will say trainer, trainer. This is after supporter cards were invented, but before item cards. Just a little note. So, but the trainer I'm really concerned about is Item Finder, because Item Finder is really good to have in a cube. It's nice to have a few of those, especially if you're running on a lower power cube. Scoop Up's kind of a nice card for 1-price cubes. I mean, it does technically work for 2-price Pokemon, though. We've got Pokemon Center for the tanky Venusaur deck. You know, you can play all kinds of stuff. I do play 4 Bill. It's just a different artwork of Bill. The artworks get confusing. Here's my Bill. I got Energy Removal. I don't have Gust of Wind, which I have in the other cube I've built, which is, again, this cube with a few edits. Yeah, I really do recommend playing Andrew Mahone's new cube. It's really epic. Yeah, you scroll through. It seems like it would take you forever, but if you have some knowledge of the game, eventually you can just search for cards. You don't have to scroll through all 13,927 cards they have listed. Actually, I recommend not doing that. Let's go new to old. Hey, can I see battle styles? Nope, can't see battle styles yet. That's how you will go about building your cube. Now, I do recommend kind of going either new to old, or if you're going new to old, you'll want to add some more filters. You'll probably want to say, I don't want VMAXs, or I do want VMAXs, or I don't want GXs. If you want GXs, EXs are a little older, so you shouldn't find them for a while. But going old to new, you'll probably want to stop around the EX era. I currently have like 1 Diamond and Pearl card in the 1 Diamond and Pearl Pokemon in my version of Andrew Mahone's cube. It is a Clefairy. I have a lot of more modern cards in my cube. This cube I'm building right now. However, I've added another card. Oh no. I'm going to remove this Wally. I did not need 2 Wally. I am definitely wrong. But I would just say, you know, focus on a period of the game. You can't, if I'm looking at all my cards, actually it's probably better to look at all my Pokemon for this. I have Grovyle and Shaymin. I think those are from Lost Thunder. I have this Octillery Black and White era. I have this Venusaur from, like, one of the E-Rater era cards sets. And then I have this Venusaur from base set, and I have 5 of those. Even if your cube is centered around base set cards, does not mean you won't have a Peliper from 2008. It does not mean you won't have an eroded version of this Raichu. Really, if you are playing this Raichu, errata it, or your cube is not going to work. Just saying. If you have this Raichu, errata it to a 30 damage attack for 2 energy. It's really much better. If you're doing an early era cube, it's like, that would be very scary. Like this Frosmoth though, its attack's pretty weak, but it's a modern card from Sword and Shield. And that's for the Pokemon. Now, you will be less worried. I don't mean not worried. I mean less worried about trainer cards. Because, for example, Gardenia heals 80. Healing 80 is not intended for a base set cube. I put it down to heal 60, and it's still your supporter for turn. Like, I got supporter cards from very far back. I've got supporter cards from very recently, you see Cynthia and Caitlin. Like, that's a Cosmic Eclipse card. You see N, that's a black and white, like, card. I think N was also printed in the XY era, but never mind. You see Cynthia. That's Ultra Prism card. Your supporter cards can come from wherever you want. Copycat's been reprinted. I don't know. I just clicked on this old art because it was faster. But then you have old cards like Steven's Advice and Roseanne's Research. No, I don't have Cynthia. I don't have Sonia, not Cynthia. I do have 3 copies of Cynthia. But I don't have Sonia because Roseanne's Research is Sonia, but a little better. And if being a little better doesn't make it less balanced, then you still want to play it. Now, you could run 1 Sonia and 1 Roseanne's Research. Like in my new... And I have made tons of edits to this, to Andrew Mahone's cube because, I don't know. It's just my playstyle. I've taken out Hitmonchan because when I'm playing the cube, no one really uses Hitmonchan, and it never really works. So I've taken out core components like that. And maybe it wasn't a good idea, but I still did it. So you can do whatever you want with your cube. And eventually, when you're done adding cards, Pokemon search, supporters, like just general supporting cards like Bill and Challenge, when you're done adding all your Pokemon, and even a few special energy, because most cubes will want to play special energy. What I forgot to mention is you do not put basic energy in your cube. You have those off to the side for deck building. Sorry if that was unclear. Basic energy are provided. You shouldn't need to proxy basic energy if you're doing a 2-person or even an 8-person or even a 16-person cube. If you've been playing the game for a while, you probably have like 10,000 special energy and nothing to do with them. But if you don't, you can proxy like 1,000 water energy. I don't think you should. You could even have the people who are playing your cube cut them out. That would be rude. But anyway, you do want a few special energy. I recommend if you have things that attack for 2 colorless. I have tons of colorless Pokemon in my cube. Running around 2 DCs, double colorless energy. And no, do not run multi-energy. Do not run rainbow energy, run multi-energy. This card is rainbow energy, but without the downside. The only thing is it can't be attached to a Pokemon that already has the special energy, or else it will just provide colorless. But I think that's fine, because you got something that needs 3 colorless energy. You attach multi-energy, you attach DCE, still provide the attack. Otherwise, that's a pretty good version of rainbow energy. I think it's better. And yeah, that's my guide to cube. Once you've done this, you kind of just want to build your cube by using Proxycroak. Again, you can find the Proxycroak page on this page. You just want to build your cube using Proxycroak. Print out all the cards, cut them out. Build your cube in here. Print the cards on Proxycroak. Use the styles of playing out the cube, whether it's 2-person or more. You can just use that style of playing out the cube. Really depends. I mentioned them earlier in the video. And then once you've drafted your cube, each player has a set of cards. Then you can play. You can play your cube, maybe make a few changes to the rules. Like I said, say electric is a supporting type in my cube. Let's make it rainbow type. Maybe I cut out a few of these Plusles because I can put electric in with whatever. Or maybe I really want the Plusles because I like that draw 2 attack and I want to evolve them into my water Pokemon. Whatever you want. You can choose types to make rainbow type, but don't get it out of hand. I don't recommend making like 5 types rainbow type and 3 types your main types. in a 2-player cube, you'll probably want 2 main types and then like 1 or 2 rainbow types. Obviously, Colorless is a great type to make rainbow type, but if you have a type that's entirely for support, other than Colorless, that's another good type to make rainbow type. Print out your cube, say, this deck building isn't working, we need 70 card decks, or say, this deck building isn't working, we need rainbow types, and here are the types I think should be rainbow types. The other person playing agrees, or all the other people playing agree, then yeah, you can just do that. And as long as everyone knows, that's the rule. Blastoise can be a basic Pokemon. I don't think it's a good idea, but you can do it. Yep, you just print out with Proxycroak, decide on the rules. I recommend changing some of the rules and changing some of the cards. Once you've built a cube, your cube is not perfect. Your cube is perfect. Once you have changed so many cards that there is never a card where you're like, this card is absolutely useless, I don't want this in my deck. Which there still is in my version of Andrew Mahone's cube, but everyone plays each cube differently. Like, I'm sure some people would use like 3 Hitmonchans if they got the chance. I wouldn't. So, just to recap, I recommend playing this cube, editing it a lot. Here's the cube list. You can find it really easily. Just search up Tricky Jam. It's one of his videos. Pretty recent. At the time of this recording, about a month ago. And yeah, you just scroll through here, tells you the set. You look at Proxycroak, tells you the set code. Yeah, just print it out. I really do recommend doing this. It really will help you learn cube. Then, if you want to make your own cube, I recommend playing that cube on and off for a while, making edits. Definitely make edits. If there's a card you're not playing, remove it for an interesting new card. And yeah, I mean do research. I mean look at cards. This is the best way to get started on researching cards, is you look at new cards, and that'll start you on your way to building a cube. Like, for example, I have in my cube a Clefairy. I found this Clefairy on my own. It was not part of Andrew Mahone's cube. I put it in the cube. It's one of the best cards, but it's not overpowered because you know how to play against it. And there's so many changes you can make to that cube. I'll probably make a video with my recommended changes, but that's the best thing you should do, is start going with that cube, start making changes, play a few games, make some changes, keep making changes, say, you know, there are a lot of cards that have a reason. Like, Professor Oak has a reason. It's not a very good card, but there are certain circumstances where you definitely play it, and I am still keeping it in my cube for the foreseeable future in my version of his cube. So, yeah, just go play that, and you can use the guide in this video to build your own cube. Sorry if I repeated myself too much, and sorry that my audio quality is probably as terrible as ever.